Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Don't Make Me Famous. My name is Michael Santiago, and I will be your host. As we go along, I'm going to be covering various topics about the road to Hollywood for Latinos, especially as I navigate that very same road myself. So I'll be covering a lot of things that I uh, that I encounter along this path that I've chosen for myself. We'll be covering a lot of things, a lot of trials and tribulations that come with this life, with this form of art that we as actors have chosen. It's gonna should be very eye opening, and my goal with this is to maybe connect with other professionals and other people that have walked this line of life and art, and kind of maybe meet at a place where we can take notes and see where we've been, and potentially see if we can move forward in a better direction together. So thank you and welcome to the show. So I wanted to start off with kind of an introduction. So I'm from Philadelphia, PA, Pennsylvania, or Philly, home of the cheesesteak, home of brotherly love, sisterly affection, a really bad opioid epidemic, sadly, but I digress. Yeah, so it's one of those things where I grew up in the late '80s. One of our escapes were movies, films. I particularly took a liking to this medium even before I knew it was a medium. uh, my first film that I recall is Batman, Michael Keaton Batman, OG Batman. uh, yeah, I remember I guess the studio had a campaign that they were putting out in every city, and they had like your local fire department ride through the neighborhoods with a dude essentially dressed as Batman, waving at kids as they drove by. And I was thinking to myself, like, yo, that's Batman. Like, Batman came to the hood, So I'm thinking, like, all right, well, that's great. I didn't even know what a movie was. Like, I knew what a movie was, but I didn't know the ins and outs of it. I didn't know that it was like fake. I thought that was like Batman. I thought he was like, away from Gotham City and, came to Philly to say hi and to also promote his movie, which he's promoting a fake movie in this real world, but also fake movie. So yeah, it was one of those things. So, again, kid brain, right? So yeah, that was my first big introduction to film. I mean, a lot of films came out like during the '90s. Too many to get into. I mean, you got your Pulp Fictions, one of my absolute favorite films of all time, Pulp Fiction. Uh, Definitely a Tarantino fan. I mean, again, too many to count. But I gravitated towards this medium. It was a form of escape. Um, didn't come from the safest neighborhoods, and I know that a lot of us had that in common. So it was one of those things where I disappeared in film and television. The whole world was falling apart, outside of my home. But like I kept it all together in this fantasy land of TV and film. I remember Ninja Turtles being like a huge thing, Power Rangers, OG Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin, none of that other stuff. Uh, and yeah, it was one of those things where like you would literally escape into that, and everything was just for that half hour for shows, hour and a half for movie. Like you just kind of disappeared into that fantasy world. Um, and I didn't know that it was something that was forming into something that I was going to later get into. I didn't have a classic background in film school or drama school. I honestly, I came from a place in the city and in this country where being in the arts was kind of frowned upon. You were looked at as soft if you were like a theater person or like like an actor or something, like, oh, like you're soft, you're not like you're not hard, like. So it was one of those things where that was a big hurdle for me to overcome. Also, within one's family dynamic, for you to tell a Spanish household that you want to pursue the arts is a wild thing to say. It still is, by the way, but it was a wild thing to say. It was like, hey, like you're expected to be a blue collar, as I'm wearing a blue collar, a blue collar worker. You're supposed to get up and work every day until the day you die, and and provide for your family, and that's it. Like that was your only mode of exist. That was your only reason for existence, and it was one of those things where I grappled with that for years. And it wasn't until later in life that I finally found the courage, for lack of a better word, to actually say, you know what, I've tried the stereotypical existence of a 9-to-5 sales, customer service. I've tried all that. I'm grateful for the many lessons that I learned in that, but it was definitely something that was insightful and educational for my upbringing. But at the end of the day, it led to a lot of thankless jobs. Not gonna lie to you, the whole university college situation was not in the cards for me. I didn't. It's not for everybody. I encourage education, but for me it just wasn't the move. So I finally found the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to pursue this, and I'm very, very grateful to myself that I did. There's a whole nother story behind that, and in a nutshell, it happened on my wife's bridal shower, no less. And I'm home and I am just kind of relaxing. My wife's doing a thing with the bridal shower, and I get a phone call from my mother-in-law, and she asks me, "Hey, we're doing this game. What's the one thing that you always wanted to do growing up but never got a chance?" And I remember thinking to myself, do I just give a stereotypical answer? Oh, I wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, blah blah blah. I don't know, for some reason I was in a very honest state of being. I didn't have anything around me to distract me, and I decided to be very honest. And I said, well, believe it or not, I've always wanted to be an actor. Expecting the worst response, or expecting a laugh, something that was going to try to check me back into reality, as it were. And I got the best response. I got, "Oh, really? That's amazing. You should totally do that." Took me by surprise. I ended that call and I was completely floored. I remember thinking, is that possible? Like, I know it's possible, but is it something that's possible for me to pursue? And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do it. And fast forward, I sat my fiance at the time down, and I was in my mind just ready for like, all right, I'm gonna sit her down and I'm gonna talk to her about this, and I'm going to explain this, and I'm gonna argue my case. And I had every type of like rebuttal in my head ready to go, just in case I got like a which I'm sure, because in my upbringing, everybody was, like if there was only like one person allowed to do something in the family, and if you weren't that person, like you were discouraged to pursue anything in the artistic realm. No fault of anybody's. It's just the way that it happened for me. I'm actually grateful for things in hindsight. So I sat my fiance down at the time and let her know. I was like, hey, listen, I want to talk to you about something. I want to pursue something that I've always wanted to pursue for the longest time, and I'm gonna do it. And I just wanted to let you know. So told her, like, look, I've always wanted to be an actor. It's the one thing in my life that I regret not doing sooner. And the response that I got was, okay, how do we do it? Was not expecting that whatsoever. It was one of those things where I was like ready to fight. I was ready to fight in my head. I'm like, okay, all right, she's going to say no, but I got all these compelling arguments and the reason why, and none of it. Completely useless. The universe got out of my way. And it was then that I decided to start to make steps in that direction. And I got the first thing I wanted to do is, okay, well, if I'm going to be doing this, then I want to do it the right way. I don't just want to go into it blindly and just try things without any type of direction. So the first thing I did was I started to research the actors that I love, and like your Robert Downey Jr.'s, your Tom Cruise's, your Daniel Day-Lewis's, all the greats, the ones that have stood the test of time. I decided to make a plan to see, okay, well, what are their acting styles? What do I gravitate towards? And then how does that go with my personality and what truth I want to bring to a character? Ended up being really, really promising because I then found Meisner Method. I found Playhouse West in Philadelphia under the tutelage of Tony Savant. Brilliant school, and it was everything that I thought I wanted without knowing what it was. I didn't know how to translate what kind of actor I was or wanted to be, and then I living truthfully under imaginary circumstances was perfect for me. It was like, oh, of course, there's no bullshit. It's completely honest. It's something that just completely spoke to me. And I know there's a lot of other methods out there, but for me, it's definitely one that spoke most true to me. I don't only subscribe to that type of methodology, but that was the biggest impact and the biggest introduction into my acting career. So that's that. From then on, I made a plan. Okay, all right. So what are we doing? All right, fine. I got the Playhouse West thing going. That's great. So then my tenure there wasn't very long. Not with what others would encourage a new person in this industry to be in, as far as you should be doing this for a certain amount of time. But in my humble opinion, while I do pursue coaching and stuff like that on my own terms with different folks, I personally feel that I learned everything that I needed to learn for the time that I needed to learn it. So I took from that what I needed to learn. I feel like life was my biggest teacher. and continues to be. But for what I wanted to do, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew how I wanted to do it, and I'm currently doing that. So that is a very long introduction on who I am and why I'm recording this. Uh, so we're going to be covering a lot of things here. You know, again, growing up as a Philly Boricua, I'm going to be covering a lot of things. You know, there was a lot of musicians in in the hood. It's one of those things where it's like, you're either an athlete or you do music, or you got a good ass job, and that's great. Power to all those people that were able to make that jump to those positive things, because the other alternatives were never great, and we all know what they are. I'm not going to shed light on those things, but just you either that or you were you're a dope boy on the corner, and I will never and have never shown any type of judgment towards anybody that does that line of work, if you will, that chooses that life, because they have to feed their families too. So I don't take anything away from anybody. Make your money, but I just hope you're safe. So that was definitely one thing for me. So we, but the one thing to bring it back is that I never found too many examples that that reflect who I was as a person, and as a person of color, as a Latino. We didn't have many examples as far as actors and actresses, at least at the time, that were available to my knowledge. Obviously, like now, later in life, I learned of the absolutely great Rita Moreno, and others like her, who is also she's an absolute inspiration to me, always has been and always will be. But at the time, I didn't know anything about that. Like I didn't grow up with anything that anyone that looked like me, and me, like I'm a light skinned, freckle faced Puerto Rican from Philly. I had nobody that looked like me. So for me, it was like I always had these people that that were no fault of their own. They weren't like me, but that was the industry at the time, and it's like what I think Raul Julia Gomez Adams, the great Raul Julia. I found out about him, and at the time, I knew he was Spanish, but I didn't know he was Puerto Rican. So for me, I didn't it wasn't until later on that I was like, oh man, the coolest fucking guy in film, and and at the time, all I knew was Addams Family, but for me, that was enough. For me, he had the whole thing going, had the little mustache, but he was in anything that he did. He was an absolute rock star, and that was for me, I think the first introduction to one of my heroes. And that brings me to my next thing, our legends. We have, obviously we have Raul Julia, we have Edward James Olmos, we have Rita Moreno, we have a lot of people. Javier Bardem, we have Benicio del Toro, Guillermo del Toro, who does film. We have so many examples, now, and those are just some of our very, very great examples of fantastic actors in this industry. Shining examples. But that wasn't like that. There were very far and few and far between. And it was one of those things where it's like, we didn't have that growing up, so when I found other Latinos that were doing their thing like that, oh my God, it was amazing. It was yo, those dudes speak Spanish, and they're not just they're not just somebody that is trying to or pretending or did some acting. It was amazing. It was, for me, it was something that was truly inspirational. Which brings me to my next point. we as Latinos go through a lot in every form of art, in every form of industry there is. I mean, music, film, television, the 9 to 5 job. I mean, it's one of those all-encompassing things. And so I'm going to be going through a lot of those topics that we go through. I mean, everything from our accents, hair bias, skin bias, going into height bias. I'm going to be touching on touching on all those things with the utmost respect, of course. And it's one of those things where it's like, for me, I can tell you right now that, like lately, just in this industry, like in the short time that I've been a part of it, I can tell you that I've been in many situations where it's like, like, hey, we love your look, but we're not going to go forward with you. And I can understand that because, I myself don't take that personal, because I know that we as actors want to get every job, obviously. I mean, that's our craft. And also you want to make money for your family and your life and all that stuff. But you also, well, I want to be the right person for the right job, and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't take that personal. I will never take personal if I'm not the right person for the intended position, because I hope that the right person lands that so that I may enjoy that one day. I don't care what it is, like I'm also a consumer of this art form as well. So for me, I love it. I love great movies. I love film. So for me, I've never really considered myself more of like the commercial guy, but don't get me wrong, I will definitely do that if if the price is right and and it makes sense. But outside of that, like there's just some things that we try to gear towards, and we all want to be Daniel Day-Lewis and Robert Downey Jr. at their best, but sometimes you have to build up to that, and this is kind of my story. And I hope to have a lot of people on when the time is right. Of course, virtually I think will be the better way to go about that, given the climate that we're in. But yeah, like it's just something that I'm very excited to share with everybody as it comes along. Yeah, I think that's all I have for today. So I thank you very, 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 very much. If you are tuning in, thank you so fucking much. I'm not going to. This isn't going to be a talk shit podcast, or or just two dudes talking crap. Like, no, I'm not. Like, I want to bring to light a few things as I go through them. And I think it's going to be. It's going to be very information based. But it's also, it's going to be real. Like I'm not gonna, like it's going to have its substance, but I don't want it to just be vapid. Like, oh, two guys talking shit. No, it's not going to happen like that. I'm going to do my best to educate myself in whatever I can, as it relates to Hollywood and the road to it, as traveled by me. And especially for Latinos, because I think that we are massively underrepresented, and I know that you may hear that a lot and say, oh well, here we go again, somebody's complaining about being underrepresented, but no, it's a very real thing. We are drastically marginalized, and we're treated as second class entertainers, and then every now and again you'll get one person to break through, and it's like, see, but then it seems like a more of a overcorrection. But for me, it's like, no, we have a lot of stories to tell. Not every family dynamic that's presented on film for Latinos is just the papa and the tortillas and he's wearing a button flannel, and he has a thick mustache, and and he's he's kind of cosmetically overweight, a burly papa. Like, no, we're not all like that. No diss to that family dynamic, because I know that there's a lot of those guys, but we're so much more than that, as people, and also our stories are way more intricate, are way more involved. We are part of that American dream. We're part of the American story and fabric. We're not all Mexican. We're not all we come from different nationalities. And shout out to my Mexican brothers and sisters, by the way, my wife included. But it's one of those things where it's like, hey, like, we have gritty people as well. We have hardworking people as well. We have funny fucking people as well. We have artistic people. We have so many fucking stories that have yet to be told. And we can't rely only on Lin-Manuel Miranda, who I fucking love, by the way. But we can't all rely on him to make those stories come to light. I mean, we need more voices. We need more of a push in those directions to say, hey, yes, we have the nuclear family, but we also have this and that and that and that. We have so many people in our Latino community, from Cuba, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, from DR, Dominican Republic, from Argentina, from Colombia, Panama, all of these places that are rich with stories and people, and yes, it's important to pay homage to the old, sort of the old country, if you will, where you have people that are like, they have the very colorful, Encanto type of stuff, or you got the Coco stuff, and that's fine, that type of, like, warm and cozy dynamic, but we don't all have that. A lot of us did not grow up in that situation. A lot of us are inner city kids that grew up with a lot of love and also a lot of violence around us, but and a mix of good and bad, and that formed us into the people that we are. And those stories have not been told yet, not to the level that they should in this day and age. You'll get one or two that sneak by, but they won't make that big of an impact because they don't have the support behind them. Because everybody wants to see the classic Hollywood white person, and no disrespect, but this is my humble opinion on what happens. We get a whitewashed everything. I mean, right now we have James Franco playing Fidel Castro. Won't touch too much on that, but that to me is a sort of a slap in the face. And not that I'm a fan of Castro, but it's like, don't we have enough Cubanos that could play that role? I would say so, but yeah, so it's things like that. They find ways to kind of push us out of the way until we're needed, until it's Hispanic Heritage Month, and then they're all about us for a month. So it's one of those things where we need more of a representation, and we need more of a voice. So I'm going to, through this podcast and through my projects that I try to either contribute to or make, or be in myself as a lead, or any way that I can contribute to it, I'm going to try to do my part to make this, to make my voice contribute to that, to that great amalgam of Latino and Hispanic voices that make who we are. And, so I hope that we are able to do that. And I'm going to try my damnedest to contribute to that. So that was our first episode. So thank you very, very, very much for tuning in if you're watching. And I will see you on the next episode shortly. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.